Hello, we're going to look at day 4 today. So let me share my screen here. Let me go. Right here. Okay, let's see here. So our team cooperation goal is still active listening. So think a minute for about what active listening might look like or sound like. Remember, when you're active listening, you're looking at the speaker, you're being quiet, and your body is still so you're able to learn better. We are still looking at summarizing, and our word power is synonyms. We're going to be writing a compare and contrast paragraph. Okay, so now we're going to look at day 4. So you need to get your chart out, and before or go through your list and think about whether or not you feel like you know these words yet. So you're going to put a plus if you feel like you know it. I'm sorry, it's a little out of focus. There we go. And you're going to put a question mark if you're still unsure. Okay, let me go through these. So we have speedy. Speedy means fast. Like my friend was speedy at getting their work completed. Length means distance. So sometimes in class you measure length of something. Usually means normally. Like I usually get up at 5 to get ready for work. Hands. Hands means gives to. Like whenever you pick up your materials, somebody hands you your papers to take home. Attempts means tries. Sometimes you're allowed several attempts to get something right. Clear means to go over or get past. Whenever I was jump roping, I was able to clear the rope before it went back around. Raised means made higher. Like I raised my head up to look and see what somebody was saying. Shoves means pushes hard. Like my little brother shoves his papers across the table. Okay, so let's look at our idea tree from yesterday. Hopefully you finished filling it in if you did this, if you weren't on our Zoom meeting. Okay, so we have track and field here. And let's just kind of look through these different events. So we talked about track and field athletes, and then we started talking about different events. So we talked about how sprinting events are short distances, and you run as fast as you can for a short distance. And then we talked about long distance races, how you run far and fast, and you can run up to 6 miles in one of those races. And then we talked about relay races and how they have teams of like 4 runners, and they sprint as fast as they can and they pass a baton to a waiting teammate. We talked about hurdle races. A hurdle race is a shorter race where the runners have to jump over 5 to 10 hurdles on the track. The hurdles are about 3 feet tall. So in all races, the fastest runners win. Okay, let's look at a question. So here's the question. It says, why is it important that relay runners not drop the baton? So think back into the story. Why was it important that they do not drop the baton? Well, if they drop the baton, it would make them slow down and they would have to run faster in order to catch up. Okay, we're going to do our listening comprehension. As we reread today, we're going to look for details about the important ideas, and we're going to add them to our other graphic organizer since we're doing our second half. So we're going to add any important details to what we have already started. So I'm going to go to page 48. I'm going to start from there. Here we go. It says, how far can you go? Track and field isn't all about running. Jumping is also a part of it. There are 4 different jumping events. The first we'll learn about is the long jump. It is very simple. The athlete sprints down a narrow track. At the end of the track is a sandbox called the pit. Just before the pit, there is a line called the board. The jumper takes off from this line. His foot must not cross the front of the line or his jump will not count. He lands his feet first in the sandbox. Then the official measures from the point where the athlete jumped to where his feet first landed. That's how far he jumped. The person whose jump is the longest of all wins. And here's our little fact box. It says, don't fall. The official measures the mark in the sand closest to the board. That means if you fall backward after your jump, he measures from where you sat down. Okay, so we're going to look at this. When I read this section before, I identified the main idea. Remember I said that it was long jump. Now we're going to use the information on we're going to add some details to our main idea here for long jump. So let me stop sharing. So when I was reading that, there were several things that I noticed. I noticed that long jumpers, they generally run down a short track with a sand pit. So I'm going to add that. They run down a short track with a sand pit. So that was one of the details I read. I also read that they jump from a line on the track and into the sand pit. So I'm going to add that. Okay, and we also talked about how the jump, or we read that the jump is measured from the line to where they landed and the farthest wins. So I'm also going to add that. So jump is measured from the line to where they landed farthest wins. So that's another important detail on that page about long jumps. So if I was going to take this information that I just wrote and make a summary about it, that means that I want to just put in the important information and leave out the less important details. So I would do it like this. So I want to show you this so that way when you write your summaries, you know how to use your graphic organizer to write a summary. So the whole thing was about long jumpers. So I'm going to start with some of the details that I had. I had that they run down a short track with a sand pit. So I'm going to put long jumpers run down a track. Okay, I also know that they jump they jump into the air and they land in a sand pit, right? Or a sandbox. So I'm going to say they jump into the air and land in a sandbox. Okay, and then we also talked about how a jump is measured from the line to where they landed and the furthest wins. So we want to say officials measure where the jumper's feet land first. And then we also said whoever jumps the farthest wins. So I'm just going to add that because it seems important. Whoever jumps the farthest wins. So that's just an example of how I would use my tree here in order to write a summary. So my whole summary says long jumpers run down a track. They jump into the air and land in a sandbox. Officials measure where the jumper's feet land first. Whoever jumps the farthest wins. Okay, so let's look at our questions real quick. Let's see. All right, so the first one is describe how the triple jump is different from the long jump. Then you have what happens when the high jumper or pole vault jumper hits the bar and knocks it off. So either A, the jumper is taken out of the competition right away. B, the jumper has to start all over again at a lower height. C, the jumper loses a turn to another competitor. D, the jumper gets 2 more tries to clear the bar. And then 3 says, why do you think there are soft mats for the high jumpers and pole vault jumpers? And you're going to support your answer. Then it says, use the following list of important details and information from your idea tree to write a summary of this cycle of run, jump, throw, the world of track and field. So they've given you the details. You're just going to use your tree to help you write your summary. So athletes can run and jump in track and field. There are sprints and long distance races on the track. Jumpers have to jump as far or as high as they can in events. Okay, so you're going to read page 49 to 51, and then you're going to finish your idea tree. Let's look at our word power. So we've been talking about synonyms. Sometimes more than one word can mean the same or almost the same thing. These words are called synonyms. Okay, so we're going to look at our word power challenge here. It says Manuel wanted to sneak around the corner and scare his sister. So think about another word that you could put in the place of sneak. Maybe creep. Manuel wanted to creep around the corner to scare his sister. Here's another one. Izzy was hungry after not eating anything all day. What would another word for hungry be? Maybe starving. Izzy was starving after not eating anything all day.